I went back to work with a view to try and recover some of it.
Peter and Michelle Corrie's plans for a comfortable retirement on the New South Wales Central Coast are in disarray after falling victim to an investment scam.
Emotionally, I was just absolutely gutted. Fortunately, my wife stood by me as much as she was impacted by it all as well.
Peter's scammers were posing as multinational investment bank UBS, selling treasury bonds as a safe option. In April and May 2022, he paid $450,000 into the bank account of a Gold Coast company called Indepth Industrial Group.
They were predominantly an overseas company and they were designing offshore oil and gas projects. Their profile came across as a legitimate company.
But Peter and Michelle soon realised something was wrong.
When I got this horrible feeling that I'd been involved in fraud after ringing UBS and found out that the person I thought I was dealing with, although he existed by name, was not the same person, we immediately got on to the Commonwealth Bank that we were sending the money to see if we could freeze the account.
The bank acted quickly, getting some money back, but they remain $130,000 out of pocket. Indepth Industrial Group is owned by Gold Coast naturopath and herbalist Jeff Beattie. Beattie is one of 4 directors, with 3 others based in Europe. Peter began speaking with Beattie and another director, Florance.
They came back to me completely dumbfounded as to why we would freeze the account. And they said, but we've got all this signed documentation from yourself wanting to invest in Indepth. There was a request to send money overseas. There was a document to the bank saying, sorry, we didn't mean to freeze the account, could you please unfreeze it? All using our forged signature, which they had taken from the passports that we sent through to open the account with UBS.
Indepth sent Peter these signed agreements. They showed the Corries supposedly wanting to pay their life savings to overseas bank accounts for an investment, but Peter claims the documents are forgeries. Indepth refused to reimburse him, claiming the company had also been scammed by a third party who falsely said it represented the Corrie family.
My frustrations is that you've got an Australian director who has a fiduciary responsibility for the company that he's a director of to simply turn a blind eye and say, oh, well, I had nothing to do with it. It's not my responsibility.
This small office block on the Gold Coast is listed as the Australian headquarters of the Indepth Industrial Group. Over here there's a gun shop and there's also an accountant's, possibly theirs, but I can't see any sign of them. Hello. I'm just looking for Jeff Beattie in Indepth Industrial Group. This is listed as the office of Indepth Industrial Group. Is this where Indepth is?
Ex-client. Yeah, so they're not running a business from here or anything.
Yep, sure.
730's investigation raises questions about Indepth's international operations. Indepth's website lists 2 overseas partners, but they've told us they've never had any relationship with the company.
Hello, Jeff speaking.
Queensland Police found Jeff Beattie was also a victim and not involved in the fraud. He declined to be interviewed but spoke to 730 on this brief phone call.
No, look, I don't want to be part of that. We were scammed. He was scammed, we were scammed.
So when you say you were scammed, how were you scammed?
By the people who took the money off of him, told us that it was a legitimate deal, that he was involved in investing. I'm sorry, that's enough, thank you.
Mr. Beattie, are you there?
Indepth's 3 European-based directors did not respond to 730's questions. Queensland Police say they undertook extensive investigations into Peter Correy's case, found the elaborate fraud originated overseas. No charges have been laid.
I guess what frustrates me more than someone being arrested is that someone hasn't been made accountable. We were advised that ASIC wouldn't do anything about it. The police said, look, you can report it to ASIC, but our experience is they don't do anything about these things.
ASIC declined to be interviewed. It told 7:30 it will review any evidence that a company or its directors have acted illegally. Newtech remains registered.
Weaknesses in the system have been exploited to basically steal money from a customer and then launder the money through the Australian banking system out to the international banking system.
Australia's money laundering watchdog AUSTRAC has warned major banks that companies pose a higher risk of using their accounts to funnel dirty cash offshore.
There's a lot of dormant companies out there. There's a lot of companies that just simply are sitting there waiting to be used, hopefully for legitimate purposes, but also that creates an opportunity for criminal actors.
Financial crime expert Neil Jeans wants more done to verify businesses are behaving legitimately. That's a massive task for the corporate regulator with more than 3.3 million registered companies. ASIC says it's not resourced to do it.
They haven't really focused on the establishment of companies and what else they could do to make sure that when a company is established, it is legitimate, but also the continued existence of that company is legitimate. From an Australian perspective, we're relatively immature compared to other countries, and I think we need to realise that and maybe lift our game.
You put data into some online shop.
Chris Sheehan heads up fraud investigations for one of Australia's big four banks, NAB.
Without verballing ASIC, without saying they should be doing something, absolutely this sort of thing should be looked at and updated regularly. New technologies have emerged, new criminal exploitation of technologies has emerged. Whether the legislative and regulatory framework and environment has kept pace with those changes, I think is something that needs to be closely considered.
Detecting criminal activity poses a huge challenge, and stopping more of it comes with trade-offs.
NAB processed about 950 million digital payments in FY23, of which around 18,500 were related to scam events. So we're talking about a tiny, tiny proportion of overall payments that are suspicious. Very, very difficult to detect without actually implementing controls and processes that would in fact stop commerce and stop industry in its tracks.
But for victims like Peter Correy, the financial impact is devastating. He believes the lack of meaningful consequences for Newtech Industrial Group is unacceptable.
I find it annoying and quite devastating that Australian companies that are out there as means for channeling monies overseas. It's horrendous that this can happen.